Hello and welcome back to the Official Watches YouTube channel. Here at Jardin du Mayfair, I have something extremely special for you today. It's none other than the Patek Philippe 10-day Tourbillon 5101P. Guys, just a quick one to say, please do hit that subscribe button. My tech team tell me up to 65% of our viewers are not subscribed. You could just tap that button, it would mean the world to me, and I'll keep these videos coming fresh and hot every week. Now, if you're not a fan of a relentlessly positive review, then it might be wise to look away now, because the venerable 5101P is, in my humble opinion, one of the greatest watches that Patek Philippe has ever produced. But if I must be reasonable and tone down the hyperbole, it's one of the top 5 watches in the world ever, and I'm going to tell you why. Clearly, I'm not refined enough to stray too far away from the smoky blue dials of the Genta classics, but this 10-day tourbillon is in a different league. The 5101P is a grand complication piece, and something that Patek Philippe really excels at. Now, more to the point, it was released in 2003 when the tourbillon, at close to 200 years old, was retired along with pocket watches, and the idea of bringing it back wasn't on anyone's radar. Fast forward a couple of decades and it's a complication regularly used to showcase the watchmaking prowess of many a big brand. But in the early 2000s, this watch was Patek Philippe's zenith, and its importance cannot be overstated. It's incredibly rare, as only a few were made over the course of the reference's lifetime. Given that it had a price tag of around $300,000, I can understand why it exists in limited numbers, as the watch, more than anything, was a labour of love that only appealed to a handful of buyers. It's important to put the 5101 into the context of the market at the time. If you're old enough to remember the 2000s, it was a time when Panerai was in full 44mm swing. Hublot had arrived on the scene, Richard Mille was shaking in the market due to its core courtesy of huge tonneau cases, Rolex introduced the LV, and you were nothing if you didn't have a collection of massively bright coloured G-Shocks. The 5101 draws its legacy from a couple of pre-existing sources. It shares a similar case to the design of the 514, a rectangular piece that the brand released in 1936, and its movement is a modification of the double-barrel 10-day 2820 caliber that was found in the 5100 Manta Ray of 2000. In order to create the 5101, Patek fettled the Manta Ray's movement to include a tourbillon. Again, in historical context, a 10-day movement was already something very special. Nothing else was even coming close. A chronometer rated 10-day movement was a huge achievement, and a chronometer rated 10-day movement with a tourbillon was to ensure even more accuracy and genuinely crazy horology back in the day. This was to the point that the 5101 swept all the award boards and most notably walked home with the Aiguille d'Or at the GPHG Awards. Okay guys, now comes my favourite part of the review, where I get to get the watch in hand. I haven't actually had a lot of time to spend with this watch. It's really cool, and I am just blown away by the dial and also the shape of the watch. It's definitely unconventional compared to modern standards, but that's what makes it really cool. And I can imagine that wearing this to a fancy do, you're going to be the only person in the room wearing it, which is what a lot of our clients look for when looking for these pieces. The case is a thick platinum and has a very distinctive tiered style, which is completely Art Deco while remaining timeless. It could have been built in any decade from the 1920s onwards and still look modern. This is one of the joys of the design period of the 20s and the 30s. It's 29.6mm wide, length is 50mm and 12.5mm thick. But don't let these stats fool you though. It may be slim, but it's long, so in reality it does wear like a 42mm piece. It has presence by the bucket load without being overpowering. There is the Patek signature diamond nestled between the lugs at 6. It's a really nice and tasteful touch, as due to the location of the setting, the diamond is only really visible to the wearer, where it serves as a reminder that you've got yourself a platinum Patek. Now moving on to the dial, it's an absolute treat. It's a gorgeous salmon tone, a colour which lifted many a watch since its introduction in the 1930s. Now Patek originally offered this dial colour by customer request and referred to it as golden opaline. Time moves on and the salmon nickname has stuck with collectors. Although it originated to complement the rose gold watches, if you pair it with platinum, as Patek have here, you create a beautiful contrast as the warmth of the salmon complements the cool metal. Another dial touch going on is the use of black and gold Breguet numerals and hands which provide exceptional legibility against a lighter dial. It's an exercise in subtlety. The minute track is printed in black along with the evenly spaced text, and thankfully Patek has used the same font throughout the dial. There is a glorious curved sapphire set flush within the bezel so as not to disrupt the sweeping arc of the side case. The rear of the watch uses another sapphire crystal to offer a window into the workings of the hand wind movement. And what a movement it is! It's also an absolute mouthful to convey. It's called caliber T2820 REC 10J PS IRM. But like the watch, it's long, but everything from Patek is there for a reason. T is for tourbillon. 28 to 20 refers to its size, 28 by 20 millimeters. REC for rectangular, 10J for 10 days, and PS for petit seconds. IRM stands for indicator reserve marche, and that is the power reserve indicator. So as you can see, Patek have done their due diligence. Now the closer you look at the caliber, the more impressive it becomes. It's beautifully finished with Geneva stripes, mirror polished chamfers, and every sweeping curve has been softened with no sign of machining anywhere. Even the visible jewels are set into flawlessly beveled gold chatons. The tourbillon, which uses a 1-minute rotation, is the showpiece and features a rounded bridge with 72 components and an astonishing 8 converging interior angles. It is a work of horological art that, in my opinion, completes a masterpiece. This watch has been referred to as Patek Philippe's magnum opus, and those two simple words tell you everything you need to know about the 5101P. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on another amazing review. I call it amazing. That's up to you to decide. Hit me in the comments and see if you've enjoyed this week's crazy watch. Thank you for watching me here at Jardin du Mayfair, and please do hit subscribe so I can keep next week's video coming in hot.